to Beyond the Pain. I am your cool ass host, Chris Trovador. This is your first time joining us on Beyond the Pain. I am a tattoo artist that wants to interview cool people, talented people, skilled people, people who inspire me in the community that I've been in for about 20 years or so. So, let's just begin because I'm just gonna get all teary-eyed because this guest that I have is so awesome, so cool. I met her on Laughter on Call, which is an improv. We'll talk about it more, but this awesome person is a comedian, a producer, an actor, and y'all just give it up for my friend Jeneta St. Clair. I almost said influencer. I held my tongue.
You did. I saw that. I noticed it.
What's up? How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I just drove to the west side. So if people are listening from Los Angeles, I drove from the valley to the west side.
Ooh.
At 3. That's serious. I think that takes a lot.
Yeah, no, it takes a whole lot. I used to, when I first moved to LA, I had no car. Well, the whole time I didn't have a car. But I took the bus from Van Nuys, the bus and the train to get to an audition, to many auditions in Santa Monica at like 8 a.m.
You did that?
I did that multiple times.
That's so much commitment. You should have done the role just for doing that.
Oh, no. You know how many... I mean, I've talked about this many times on Beyond the Pain, but I've done so many auditions like that, and also to be a tattoo artist, like for different TV shows, and I've gotten none of them. Not because I'm not that good of an actor, but because I don't look like a tattoo artist. Anyways, that's a whole... Yeah, I'll leave that for another time. But yeah, so that commute, for those that don't know and don't live in Los Angeles, that commute is... Like, I had to wake up about, 4 a.m. to get to Santa Monica at 8 a.m. It was tough.
Such commitment, man. Bravo to you. Bravo.
Yeah, thank you. I had to have motivational music in my headphones, crying on the way. Why am I doing this?
You have to do that even if you just have a regular car and have motivational music in your ears, or just something to not be like, I can't do this anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's a tough journey, and it's interesting because, how long have you been in Los Angeles? Are you from there?
No, I'm from Wisconsin originally. Okay. I moved out here though. Well, then I lived in Indianapolis for 6 years, and then I moved to LA when I was 18. So I've been out here for 12-ish years. There was a break here and there, but yeah, 12 plus years.
Congrats. I mean, that's a long time to be in Los Angeles, and you're still going.
And I'm still going. I do have blips and moments where I'm like, do I want to leave? Do I want to leave? Even though now I had this thing the other day where I was even thinking about it because I also do makeup, and somebody just called me out of the blue to do a makeup gig. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't have this if I went to New York or to any other city, Miami or Atlanta or whatever. I just have been here so long that I have connections. So it doesn't make sense to leave, I guess.
Yeah, no, I understand it, being a tattoo artist that you just found out, I guess, 5 minutes ago.
I was just like, oh, what a dope idea for a fucking show. Yeah, you talk to comedians that have tattoos. I love this.
Yeah, so when I started tattooing, I was tattooing in Orlando, and the tattoo shop was right next to an improv theater. And this improv theater, I was like, okay, let me go check in between, breaks or whatnot. And I was like, yo, I do this all the time for my clients. I can do this shit. And that's basically the way I maneuvered. Thunder, sorry. That's the way I maneuvered through improv comedy. Because, I was always comedic or just humorous, especially when people are getting tattoos, they're nervous. It's like, how do I ease this person up? And you just make them laugh, chill, and sort of, that's to make a long story short. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Because I've now currently fell in love with my current tattoo artist. I love him very, very much. And because he was the first one that didn't treat me differently. Like I felt like there's always this like, I've even written bits about it, but it's like when you go in and they see me and they're like, she's going to want a fucking butterfly, like tramp stamp. Like, I don't want to deal with this. And then I walk in and I'm like, no, I want like my address, like my area code, like on my arm. And then when I did do that, actually, they were like, you know, this is a pretty fucking sick tattoo. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal. Like, I thought it was so hard. Like, I finally made it in. And I've been going to that location ever since because the guy that I see is just so kind and always asks like really sweet questions and is just trying to get to know all of the people. And he's like, I just love people. I love to get to know people. So
Shout this person out. Shout him out.
Yeah. His name is Michael Mendoza. He's at De La Rosa Tattoo Studio in Studio City.
Awesome.
Yeah, they just opened a second location, but he's at the Studio City location, and he's very dope.
That's great. Yeah. Well, to continue this, we're gonna do. We're gonna have to come up with a name. Steve in the background. Steve, the producer. Shout out to him. We're gonna have to come up with a cool name, a jingle with us, like a song. But we're gonna rate some tattoos.
Yes.
And you can give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, A, B, C plus, whatever you want to do, 1 through 10 grading system, however you want to do it, with these next tattoos.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
All right, Steve, hit it. Okay. Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, so this person definitely is doing some cover-up situation.
Yeah. And also the basket weaving around the hand that the rabbit head is sitting on. Yeah. Unless it's done very, very well, I'm not a big fan of complete blackout tattoos. Yeah, but I know an artist that's really good at it. But
there are a lot of people who are doing that, not just because blacking it out, like they're also able to cover up all their old stuff, but also I've seen people do those hatching lines on their face, like they go all out with them. And it's interesting because this one seems, I don't know if it's, I wonder what this rabbit or this hare is.
Yeah. It's a hare. Yeah. It's not just a fucking bunny. This is a hare.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of sense.
It's a big commitment to, it's a big commitment to just this bunny. Hare.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing. Like, I guess that's a whole nother conversation. It's like, because, yeah, anyways, I give it, depending on what it was there beforehand, I'm going to give it like a C+, because I could also do the hair a lot more detailed and whatnot. But
okay. All right. I'd like to see your work. I'd give it probably I'll give it a C+.
You can do whatever you want.
I'm like, do we know who these people are? Okay, no. I give it a C+. Here's the thing. Just because, yes, I agree that the hair could be better, and I just don't like the on the hand. But also teach their own, live free. Be you.
See, that's a part of my grading system too. It's like whatever makes you happy.
Exactly. I'm like, it's hard because I know my bad ones. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Next, Steve. Ooh. Ouch. So it looks like it's a flower and the skull is morphing into the flower. My thing is that they need to shade in the definition between the skull and the flower a little bit differently, unless it's a cover-up.
Unless it's a cover-up. But here's the thing. Ouch. Isn't that like the worst spot is your armpit?
I mean, I know people who've taken it like champs. So I think the healing process is really bad. Simply, I don't have one in my armpit, but I've gotten close.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten pretty close. But even that is just like, it doesn't feel good. But the healing process where it's like you always have to, not put your arm down as much to wipe it and things like that. That's I believe.
I would say, okay, so I'm gathering from the monster tattoo that's next to it with that monster energy drink green with another skull coming out of it. This guy probably loves NASCAR
and Mountain Dew.
And Mountain Dew. And I know a lot of these people from when I lived in Indiana. And so I'm going to say F.
Okay. I mean, The thing is like I've seen some pretty bad tattoos, and we've showcased a lot of bad ones. So in comparison, I'd
Yes.
I'd give it a D simply because I see what you're doing. I see
Yeah.
what is going on here, but I think with so much black, unless it is a cover up, it's like you gotta separate the darks so we can see what is actually going on.
True. I apologize. I wasn't rating the tattoo. I was more rating the environment that it was on.
Okay, okay. I mean that we can grade that too.
But the tattoo, I love a skull. I currently want to get a skull. So, but I mean, the tattoo detail looks good. But yeah, I agree. The between the flower or the like the Stranger Things creature that's around the skull, I think it could be done a little bit better.
All right, next one. Bruh.
No, no, honey.
Oye, oye, you wanna check my haircut? Mira, I look very good.
No, that's not real.
I've seen a few like these, and people just.
Is
This
it
is
because
before the implants, the new implants that
okay.
are coming out now. So I'm sure this is before that.
Okay, because I've seen some like bad like eyeliner and eyebrow because I do makeup, so I've seen like really bad. This is a whole nother performance art
Man,
piece.
they didn't. It's just straight black. That's what's really funny.
Yeah, now like my friend does eyebrows and like tattooing, and she's like fine. Like it's that thing. You do this, and you can't go. Now, what are you going to black out on that one? You already blacked it out. You can't black out the blackout. It's gone.
You,
You're done.
it's oh man, you know. I give credit. At least they have a nice little edge,
Yeah,
going
that's
on.
good edging. I wish it was like a faded edge though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like
Like a
be
really good
creative.
barber
We all
got those
can't
lines.
be barbers and tattoo artists and comedians, all right? Or cosmetologists and
Exactly. Exactly.
I give it an F, but
Yeah,
for effort.
I'm gonna give it an F for the environment as well. And but in terms of the blackout and the line, like
The edge.
A minus.
You might as well just go all out, get your eyebrows done, get the whole thing matching,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh man. That's
All right. Well, what was your first tattoo?
oh, buckle up. Here we go. All right.
Buckle up.
All right. So my first tattoo, I was 18.
I, I didn't say it, you did.
As you do. And I got the theater masks, the like smile, laugh now, smile, cry
Yeah.
later, whatever. The theater masks on my ass.
Okay. You
Yeah.
is it a love-hate thing with theater? Why specifically the first tattoo on your ass and theater?
Okay, so here we go. So I always wanted tattoos. I knew I always wanted tattoos. My brother had tattoos, and I just always thought it was cool. I was always super rebellious too, so I like wanted to do it to piss my parents off. I'm the youngest of four, so it was like my way to be like, "Fuck you, dad." My dad was also my principal in high school growing up, and
Wait,
so
your
yeah,
dad was also okay. We'll talk about that later. Continue.
yeah. Put that one aside. But anyway, so when I turned 18, like the day I turned 18, basically, I went and I knew I wanted theater mask because I was an actor and like I was like, this will be so original, so new. So I went into the parlor and my sister pulls out like a bank receipt and she's like, she just wants something like this and just like drew like, mer, mer, mer. The guy literally goes, all right, does it. And then he goes, do you want color? And I said, yeah. For the sad one, can we put like different colors of water in the ocean? And then for the smile, can we put like different colors of the sun? So it's like he just dug it in. So it's not going anywhere. He just
He
put
dug it
it
in
in
your
there.
cheeks.
And
Oh, that's horrible.
I put it on my ass because I was like, this will be something I can hide as an because this was, 14 years ago. So it was
You
like
don't have
I
to
can
date yourself, yeah.
it's fine. I'm 32. It was like it was like 14 years ago. So something that I was, back then there wasn't like we can cover up your tattoos if you book a role. It was very much like hide your tattoos. And people wouldn't book you or whatever. So that's why I put it on my ass. And then when I got home and I said, "Hey dad, look," and I mooned him. So I was like, "Look at my fucking tattoo, dad."
And what did he say?
He was like, "Jeneta." Just that.
Wipe your ass first.
Like so mad. Like, you're disgracing your bot. I don't know. Whatever.
Wow.
And I've been getting a tattoo every year on my birthday ever since.
Wow, that's pretty dope.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
To get it on your birthday, I just get it whenever I'm available, and I'm so damn picky that I have to have specific people. But to have it on your birthday is also a great celebration. Do you usually like party? What do you do beforehand to prep? Do you like schedule this ahead of time? Do you invite friends over to watch you get the tattoo on your birthday?
It's changed. Sometimes it's been friends. Sometimes it's been like, yeah, I'll be there for a while. So then like friends will come through. But I also don't like to super bug like the artist and have like people around. I think for a while I had people there, but now it just feels like this is my thing to have for me. And yeah, so I try and book it beforehand, but I always forget. And so this past time, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be on." So I always do it. My birthday is June 24th. I was like, I called him, and I think we met in April, and he's like, "My earliest appointment is August." I was like, "Damn it!" Because I was like, I was even early, but not in like a good artist tattoo world. You have to book like 6 months in advance, basically.
Right.
For my guy. And so yeah, so it just depends. I mean, I love the whole process. I love collaborating with the artist. I love like I'll go with him and kind of tell him what I'm thinking, and then he'll be like, maybe we should kind of like go this way or that way or whatever. And so yeah, I just love the whole thing.
Did you ever fix up your first tattoo?
Nope.
Just gonna keep it the way it is.
Here's my thing. So like thankfully I didn't get that like on my neck or like something, you know what I mean? Like I'm happy that I put it where it is. Unfortunate for lovers, but
unless they're theater actors or whatever.
And that was the other thing. Then I went to LA to go to like acting school, and I was like, this is so unique and this is my tattoo, and like trying to find a way to show it. And obviously I'm at a theater school. Everyone has theater mask tattoos. Everyone. So I was not unique. I was not cool. I was just like everybody else. But yeah, it was I haven't covered it. I did one time have an artist kind of like doodle on it to see. He's like, "Yeah, you're really just going to need to kind of put something on it." And he goes, "And you chose colors and it's really hard to like." And I just think, it's like this stamp memory, and it's comical, and it's not like it's anything bad. None of my tattoos have ever come back like eek. So it's just, to me, it's like a remembrance of when I was 18 and I got my first tattoo, and it is what it is.
For sure, it's a great memory.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Do you usually get funny tattoos? Is that like a thing? Being that you're a comedian.
Wasn't supposed to be funny.
I mean, it could be. I have friends that do that. I have friends who just get funny tattoos.
Yeah.
He got his first tattoo. It just says first. He's got a badge with another first. I have a friend that just gets ridiculous. He has a parentheses, right? He has a parentheses here, and then a dash so that girls can write their number, the area code, and it is ridiculous. But he's such a nice guy that it's hilarious.
That is really funny. That's really good. I just started getting more funny ones. At first it was like every year would be like a remembrance, or like, what did this one year mean? And sometimes it's still that. Or like, I just like this and I want it. But I did get "fuck that noise" on my leg. Like, fuck that noise.
Please, for those that don't know what that means, what does that mean specifically to you?
To me, it means I was in a mood And
Okay,
and I
cool.
saw on like a forum that this artist was doing like $100 tattoos, just like whatever you want, can't be like above the size of something. And I had done a sketch comedy show with a group of buddies for years. And one of them had this sketch, and every single time he would say, fuck that noise, like in this really weird, silly way. And I just loved that idea. Plus, I was mad. And I also like, it was kind of back to my like, fuck you, dad moment where I was like, I'm going to put fuck on my body. And luckily, when I got there, I was like, maybe I don't put it on my arm. Maybe I put it on the back of my leg instead,
Okay.
just in case. For whatever reason, if like, I don't know. But I did recently also get the upside down cross on my middle finger.
Do you want to go into that meaning too?
Sure. So I was raised in a very religious community, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it anymore. And again, was in another like, I don't fucking care moment. Luckily, Michael, my tattoo artist, was like, I was like, I want to do this on my hand and this on my hand. And he's like, let's just leave that space for like a good piece and not just start doodling because you're in a mood. I had just gotten like in a car accident. I'd gotten like half laid off of work. I was just like not happy. And so I was like, let's just doodle on my hand. And he's like, this is your hand. And I'm like,
Right.
let's just doodle. But that's honestly kind of who I've been. I don't have a lot of like, when I'm very impulsive, and I'm very like, I'm a fuck it type person. Like whatever, it's just your body. Like it's a work of art that you put on your body. And as long as it's not hurting anyone, I don't think I ever really put too much like deep thought into like placement or like what it is sometimes. And so that was this moment. So I was like, I'm going to get a cross on my middle finger.
That's very interesting that the way you mentioned that you're not really thinking about the placement. Do you find a correlation? And I will get into your, how you got into improv and all that. But do you find improvisation a form of that? Does that make sense? Like, I
Yeah.
have the idea. Let's just see where the artist likes it.
Oh, 100%. I think that's almost every tattoo I have, at least in the past few years. Like this whole, I'm like trying to show this whole one was like, so it's like the sun coming through the trees.
Yeah,
And then this side is like a lightning storm on the lake. And
super
then
cool.
there's just like all this detail up here. But
Is
this,
is there more to be done?
nope.
Okay, cool.
Everybody always says that. I
No, no,
mean,
no. I'm just
maybe.
double checking because the camera is one thing, but in person,
Mm.
I'm sure I could see it a whole nother way.
Yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
maybe at some point I'll like add more into it, but no, it was very much I walked in. It was during the pandemic, and I had like doodled something terribly because I can't draw. And he looked at it and he was like, I can't really tell what this is. And then I kind of gave him an idea of what I was looking to do. And then we kind of collaborated on it. And when I came to him, I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of it, but it looks too perfect. And that's my other thing is I don't like things fully finished. I don't like it like very clean. I like things kind of messy. It's just who I am as a person. So that kind of flows into my tattooing too sometimes.
There's a lot to unravel there,
Hmm.
in my opinion. Simply because tattoo artists are like an unlicensed therapist, right? For people, and
Totally.
people come with these specific ideas about their lives, and they want it to signify something, right, for themselves. And
Hmm.
so when you get to tattoo them, you hear these stories and why they're getting the tattoos, and that's the whole reason why I have this, because there's so many stories that I would love to tell, and I can't just, if I have to do a 5 minute set doing stand up, I can't get all those stories down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just interesting to hear you say, I like the abstract, I like the tattoo artist, doing it for me, and I
Mhm.
think that's definitely great in ways, and it's also just fascinating to just like, because in each one of these episodes we're having different ways of people explaining how their process is,
Mhm.
and I find your process really cool too.
Thanks.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's I also just like his work, and I like we're coming up with a new concept too, that the last time I just went in and did like a little on my hand, and then I did like this band around my arm. Um we he like I want to cover. Actually, this is my first one I'm ever covering. This one, and I'm gonna get like a big piece from like here all the way down to my wrist and kind of cover this whole area. And so,
what is it that you're covering?
It's a compass.
Okay, dope.
I got it with a friend.
An arrow? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, I got it with a friend of mine, and then she called me and was like, "So I'm covering our tattoo."
Horrible friend.
I know. No, but she wanted a bigger piece, and I was like, "It's your body, obviously. Like, do whatever you want to do." But yeah, so she covered it, and so now it's kind of like I have this matching tattoo with somebody that doesn't have it anymore. So,
damn, I'd be damned if somebody, because the matching tattoo I got was this mustache on my finger. Everyone at the shop got it, and that's how I was an apprentice, and that's how they were like, "Hey, if you're gonna be a part of the shop, you got to get it." I'm like, okay, well, fine. And so we all got this damn mustache, and eventually it's like, I want to cover it, but now it's a part of you, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like I take it. I honestly forget all the time that I even have it. So I'll have a drink or something, or a cigar, and people are like, "Oh!" I'm like, "What? What's? Oh, your mustache." So it plays a purpose sometimes, but covering, I have done cover-ups, so I get it.
Yeah. So I'm excited. It's going to be like it's going to kind of pair with this one nicely. So then I'll just kind of be balanced. So we'll see.
That's pretty dope. Well, on that note, before we get into your journey, we're going to cut into a commercial break and promote some art, some tattoos, and some Oye Dimelo network stuff. So, yeah, let's do that. Oye Dimelo, Steve! Dimelo!
I don't stop until I break a sweat. Wet, I keep tripping, hit them with finesse. Wet, every day I wake, I know I'm blessed. Wet, pull up like I barely hit the net. Wet, sweat, wet, sweat, wet, sweat.
Welcome back to Beyond the Pain! And I'm here with my homie, Jeneta St. Clair.
Hi. That was so awesome. All those artists.
Thanks. The art was mostly, the art was mostly mine. Oye Dimelo has a cinema portion where they review movies. And so, yeah, hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to promote our stuff, and you got to see a little bit of my tattoos as well.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
So tell me about you gave us a little bit in the beginning. Tell us about how you got to LA. What was the reason? And yeah, let's lead up to today.
Okay. Let's start from the top. So basically my dad was a theater director in Wisconsin, and I grew up like being around it all the time. So like being like just seeing how the ins and outs of it all work. And when I say he was a theater director, it was at the local high school, but it was kind of it was a big production. He brought in a lot of people from Chicago. It was really beautiful. And my sister was always the lead and multiple, or not always, but when she was in school, she was. And so I just fell in love with theater and fell in love with acting and performing. And I remember when I was really little, I left a note on my mom's vanity that said, I want to be a singer, dancer, and an actor. I was like
Ooh.
4, and I like left it in my mom's bathroom, and they were probably like, "Oh shit," but I loved it, and so yeah, so I kind of always knew that's what I wanted to do, and so when we moved from Wisconsin to Indiana, and moved to Indianapolis, so like a bigger city, because in Wisconsin we were in this place called Sheboygan. It was just a tiny little
Sheboygan.
town, Sheboygan.
Does that mean
Um,
anything?
Apparently I think there's like a indigenous story about she had a boy again or something like that. That's what I've heard.
Hey, well, she had Sheboygan. She had... Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
I have no idea. I've looked into that. But anyway, so then we moved to Indianapolis, and acting or like theater isn't cool there. So I just played sports, which I played growing up.
Kind of
And
sports.
then I played softball, volleyball, cheerleading, basketball.
So
I
you're
kind of
very
played it
active,
all. Yeah.
basically. You're doing theater, you're doing dancing. Were you also like doing makeup stuff behind the scenes for your theater productions? Were
I was definitely like a kid that loved doing makeup and just being creative in that way. I think it was also just being like a little kid in that age of like Britney Spears. So anything I could do in the Spice Girls. So it was just anything I could do to be cool and look like them. And so, yeah, so it just kind of, that's where it probably fell in love with that part of it too. But like I said, like being in the theater world, just falling in love with all of it, like the stage combat when they would have that there, or the makeup, or wardrobe, or set design. I just really thought all of it was so cool and really beautiful how this whole community of people comes together to put on a production. And you just do it for this like blip of time, and then it's all torn down and you do it all again. And so, yeah. So then when we lived in Indiana, I was just playing sports and not really doing any kind of theater. And then my junior year of high school, I didn't get put. I have such a like a rebellious, like nobody's listening to me side
I mean,
of
there's nothing wrong with that because I
no.
went through the same somewhat phase, just not into. I hated theater. I hated, anything like that. I was just strictly music, poetry, and that's about it. Uh,
Oh,
Look how life has turned. Now I'm directing theater shows and shit. But
exactly. You never know. But I was just like, it wasn't cool. The cool kids, I guess, weren't doing it. I don't know. And I was starting to get like into partying and stuff in high school. So then it was my junior year. I didn't get put into one of the volleyball games that I was like, I should be starting. I don't know who I thought I was, but anyway, so I was like, I should be starting. I don't know why I'm not. And I ran into the hallway and I ripped off my knee pads and I threw them against the wall. And my mom was like, what's going on? And I was like, I want to do theater. She was like, okay.
extremely
That's
dramatic.
obvious. Yes. And yeah, and then I did like 3 productions in high school of different plays, and also still played some sports, and just was like, I know this is what I want to do. And even when I was younger, it's a thing, like a friend reached out to me recently and she was like, you always wanted to do this and you always wanted to move to California. That was just like your dream your whole entire life.
Because
Um,
LA to you was the mecca of movies and things.
yeah, like movies, film, acting, the weather. Like I also was obsessed with the show The OC. So
Okay, okay.
always watched it. And
Interesting, because I'm a big fan of '70s show, but I don't want to go to Wisconsin. Anyway,
exactly. Nobody does. And so yeah, so then I moved. So then this is what it was. My parents were like, I was like, well, I'm moving to California when I graduate. I don't care. And they were like, we'd like you to have some kind of stability though, like either. And I didn't want to go to college. I knew that. I just wanted to get right to it. And they were like, well, let's just go out there and see if we can find something. And then I ended up getting into this like performing arts academy that I auditioned for in Chicago, and it's called AMDA. It's like American Musical and Dramatic Academy. There's also one in New York.
so they're still
And
sending me. I know.
did you go to AMDA?
I did not, but Steve, the producer, I believe, did, and I just no. I once they kept harassing me with books and programs, and so I was like, "You're a little too thirsty. I don't want it."
Yeah, yeah. So, but I went. So, um,
No hate, no hate.
no
I
hate.
guess.
No, I went, and then, and honestly, I think it was good just because it gave me like a foundation and a community to build off of. I'm not saying it was like the best program in the entire world. The teachers were really awesome. There was a lot of really good teachers. The administration was not great. I also was having parties on campus, so that probably was another reason why that wasn't the best. But
It's a part of the experience, though.
yeah. And so then that's when I was 18, living literally dropping off my bags in Hollywood, like Hollywood and Vine, 18 years old. You're in it. And for
No,
anyone that
legit,
doesn't
you're in it.
know, you're in it. Hollywood is not cute. It is not what anyone thinks it is. That's Bel Air. What you're thinking, that's not Hollywood.
Yeah.
So it was and I had been into California like once before, but yeah, I just was dropped off, which I just think is wild. Like my parents are like, okay, here you go, like Hollywood.
And you just you lived by yourself, all that in the
I
beginning?
lived on campus. There's
Okay.
like a campus though that's right at Yucca and Vine, so basically Hollywood and Vine area. Yeah, and I was just there, and we had to walk. Like there was so much shit that happens in that area. It's right by that 7-Eleven on like Cahuenga and Yucca. Yeah, so it's not like the best area, but I met incredible people that I'm still friends with today. Like my best friend is now dating my brother, and she and I were roommates for 10 years. We met in college, and yeah, it just kind of gave me like a really good foundation to be in Los Angeles and have people and understand how this industry works.
Did you graduate?
I did, yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, so it was a 2-year program. I graduated, and I actually started working pretty quickly after I graduated. I was doing a lot of indie films. Actually, my first film that I did was in Miami. Hey, my mom, are you in Miami? I keep saying that, aren't you?
Orlando. You know what? It's cool. It's cool. I'll take it.
I
As
gotta take that
long
back. I'm so sorry.
No.
I'll
You know
talk to my
what?
manager.
You know the thing about that, and I give this explanation a lot, where it's like I just say Central Florida so that people just don't even feel bad, because then immediately the moment you say Orlando, they'd be like, "Oh my God, you live next to Mickey Mouse and Goofy?" It's like, no, that's a whole hour away. But
I just think Central Florida, like Florida. That's where my head goes. But I went to Florida a few times. Like I went for spring break in high school.
Of course.
No, but my first film was in Miami. The first film that I really did. I flew to Miami, and my mom's like, "You booked this, we move you out to California, and then you fly to Miami." And I was like, "I'm living the life." They flew me on Spirit Airlines.
Ooh, that must have been a low budget
It
film.
was a low budget. Yeah, but it was so much fun. It was like the first time that I like was fully immersed in the world of like indie films and just like the production and seeing everything happen, and fell in love with that too. Just like I became really, really close with the makeup artist on set, with some of the guys that were like the gaffers, the camera guys. Like we all just, and then all of the actors, we lived in a house together in somewhere outside of Miami. I forget what town. Probably Hollywood, right? Isn't that right by
Yeah,
Miami?
there's a Hollywood over there.
Okay. But I had such a great time. Here we go, tying it together, that when I got back, I got a tattoo for that experience.
That's dope. And what'd you get?
I got broken. It was a really like twisted, dark film, but I got like broken chains, and I got redemption in Spanish written with the, like broken chains. And it was also like I had experienced some shit in my life too, that it was like feeling like this was my freedom, that I finally get to do what I want to do with my life.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you felt like inspired, it's actually coming to fruition, all the work that you've been putting into. Because I'm sure, I mean, as much as we can, rag on schools like AMDA, but I'm sure you got a lot of great training, a lot of experiences that propelled you into what you're doing now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, like the training and the foundation that they built for you coming out of that school, I think was really, really helpful. Because I think if I had just moved to LA, I would have no concept of where to even begin. And even now, I'm still like putting things together and figuring things out, and been doing this for so long. But yeah, I am grateful for that. But yeah, then I came back and it was like full steam, and I was fully like driven, hitting it, like doing a ton of indie films. Really fell in love with that whole process of it too, because it felt more like everybody at least the films I was on, everybody like wants to be there and wants to create something, because people aren't doing it for that much money. And if the project's really good, like if the writing's really good, which it wasn't always back then, but
Still to this day.
I mean, then I said yes. Now I'd say no.
You have boundaries now.
Yes, exactly. But when I did those projects back then, it was just like such an experience. And also, there's the really dark side of Hollywood for sure, but there was also a lot of growth that I had from seeing it, and then also being able to do multiple jobs besides acting. So that's where like production really came into place, was when I was like 22. I was 21 or 22. I was assisting this director, and he was like, he fired his line producer, and he was like, you're going to line produce this like $4 million film. And I was like, what? And so I just had to figure out how to start doing that. And I mean, that's really what got me into Laughter on Call in terms of where I work now.
For those that don't know what Laughter on Call is.
Yeah. So Laughter on Call is a company that my boss, Danny Klein-Modestett, started. It's entertainment now based, but we started working with Alzheimer's patients back in the day, going into communities using laughter to connect people that were very isolated in the disease. And then COVID hit and we all became isolated. And then we started realizing that what we were doing for these one-on-one gigs that we were doing with these people, that it could work for everybody. So we started streaming and doing it online, and we were doing that 5 days a week. And then we started doing it for anyone, corporations, private parties, whatever.
We did it for Jaeger not too long ago. We did the first Spanish one, right?
Yeah, it was the first all Spanish speaking show, which was so fucking cool. And it was just really awesome to be like a part of that and use many sides of what I wanted to do, because through the years of me being out here and acting and producing and doing comedy, it just felt like I really wanted to find a way to combine my love of comedy and making people laugh and my love of helping people. And then I literally met Danny probably 2 months after I said that out loud. And then
speaking into existence.
Yeah. And then been with the company for like 2.5 years, helping produce and do the comedy as well. And then on my days off and after work or whatever, I do my own stuff, doing stand-up, doing acting classes, shows, performances, auditions.
How did you get
all of it.
into stand-up?
Oh, this is a good one. So I was doing sketch comedy for years. That was kind of like my main thing. I was on a movie set, and one of the actors and I were riffing off each other a lot, and he was really funny. I was really funny, and he was like, "You're really funny. You should audition to do." My friend has a sketch comedy group. You should audition and see if they're looking for people or whatever. So I auditioned. I got in, and I was a part of that company. It's no longer a company, but it was called Straight Jacket Society, and I was a part of that company for probably like 7 years. I was the artistic director for the last 2 years and helping produce shows and getting us into festivals. So we did like Sketchfest in San Francisco. We were doing like the Funny Women Festival at IO and all these different places. And then, and then when I started a web series off of that, and like kind of built a group of comics and friends that I'm still very close with. And then my life kind of fell apart. And I got sober like 3.5 years ago. And thank you. And when I got sober, this is so corny, but kind of beautiful, is I always wanted to try it. I never thought I was good enough. I thought I always needed like a team behind me to write and perform. And so I was just like, this is a bucket list thing. I have to see if I'm good at it. And so I did it, and I was good at it. And then I just kept doing it. So that's kind of how I got into stand-up, was just like, I have a lot of friends that are comics, stand-up comics. And I just was always like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'm a writer. I think I'm more of a performer. And
yeah, because you're by yourself. In improv and sketch, you have other people. If you mess up a line, then they can help you out, or whatever the case may be. You're with a group, as opposed to stand-up, where it's just you and that microphone, and you got to make some magic. And a thought. You're saying you were going through these things in your life. When you started the stand-up, was it therapeutic writing about your life?
Yeah,
because it's happened to me, so that's why I asked.
Yeah. My first, you can see it. There's like a Laugh Factory clip of it, but my whole first set, and still I use it too, but like was all just about being an alcoholic. Like that's all it was, because that's like all I had, and that it was funny to me, but it was very therapeutic, and I was meeting sober people by doing it. Or people would come up to me after the show and be like, I'm 30 days sober, like, thank you so much for talking about this on stage. I always struggle with people that are like around me drinking or whatever, and it's nice to know you feel like seen and heard in a comedy club, which is like the most alcoholic, drug using environment, and to be like the one that has to be completely clean can be challenging. So yeah, it 100% has been very therapeutic, as well as going to therapy. But
right.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Have you gotten like a tattoo for stand up for act? Oh, you got some.
Oh,
no?
I would say
I seen you jump. I was like, oh, you got some?
I would say my fuck that noise was probably in relation to stand up and me doing it. But in terms of now it's that moment where you start looking because you forget. Oh,
Sure.
Yes. I got a quote by Hannah Gadsby. Do you know Hannah Gadsby?
I've heard.
Yes.
I don't know her personally, but I've heard.
Okay. She just had this special on Netflix, and so I got sober at 28 and like 28 and a half. And so when I turned 30, I got a tattoo that said, it was from her special that says, "There's nothing stronger than a broken woman who has rebuilt herself." And so that was kind of my like comedy, life-changing, fixing, getting better, healing. Yeah.
That's really awesome. I mean, if I had an applause button, that's exactly Yeah. And so, what are the things that you're like working on these days? I know it's a pandemic still, even though people don't want to believe it. But
It is.
you doing shows, stand up
Yeah.
still, indoors,
Yeah.
outdoors?
I just actually did Flappers in Burbank on Sunday. That was kind of my first time doing live in a really probably I want to say had to be like a year.
Wow.
I done like gone to a mic here and there just to kind of get my feet back on a stage and see if I still like it. Because it's so weird. But yeah,
It
so I
is.
just did Flappers. Everybody has to be vaccinated there, so that was really cool. It was indoors. I've just been I got back into acting classes. I took a break from acting for a really long time because of getting sober. And then I started doing stand up, and then COVID happened. Everything stopped. So then getting back into acting again. So yeah, it just feels like currently it's putting one foot in front of the other and trying to figure out how to still do this without burning out.
Sure. Without having the confidence, not necessarily of people in the group, right, for sketch, but a substance, right?
Yeah. And I think too, like, there was this beauty in Hollywood, I think, that happened, or the industry, that was like we all had to stop and realize what really, then the world, not just the industry, but like, and see what really mattered to us. And before the pandemic, I mean, I was hitting mics and doing shows constantly. And then the pandemic stopped, everything stopped. I was alone with myself. I feel like that was the first time I really had to like look inside and do more internal work. And then now that the world's opening up, it's like finding a balance of still having my sanity in my life while also like the grind or the hustle, and not trying to fall back into that because it wasn't healthy for me, at least. So yeah, I think it's just been really like a slow, I keep referring to it, and a friend of mine feels the same. It's like pulling like a motor lawnmower. I'm like, I live in LA. Nobody mows a lawn.
Ah!
But like, like pulling a lawn, it's like revving your engine again,
Yeah.
like trying to
Yeah.
get and find what balance feels good for you.
Agreed.
Balance is like kind of impossible, but just trying to find a way that works and find out what I really want to spend my time doing. I think mics can be really, really hard, and comedy can be really, really hard in terms of the environment you're around, especially for me, like as a sober person. It can be really hard.
Yeah, I mean, let alone the other depressing people who are not that your situation's depressing, more of the open mics are just horrible, especially when you're in an environment with other people who feel horrible about themselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, LA is pretty dark, but then, like, for example, I'm in Florida. Like, that shit, like, at least there's like these ideas of where you could go, as
Yeah.
opposed to Florida's just like, nah, it's all balls off the wall, kind of dark
Yeah.
humor for everything. If you don't hear a 9/11 joke, a rape joke, or they're missing something, there's
Racist?
oh yeah, there you go, that joke. Then
I was gonna guess.
I mean, it's dead on.
Yeah. I
Then
know.
you haven't gone to an open mic.
Fuck. That's the thing, is like, I remember before the pandemic, there was one day, it was like a Friday, I got off work early, and I had set up to hit, I think, 7 mics that day. I was just going boom, 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 like all through Hollywood, just like running around. My friend and I would do this, like, we would call it a mic crawl, where we would, on like, instead of a bar crawl, we do a mic crawl, and we would just like hit all these mics. And I went by myself, and it was just like, oh, I'll like pop in and see people throughout the day. And by the end, somebody was smoking a joint in front of me, and I remember going like, oh yeah, I can smoke weed. Like, I was so depleted of my own like serenity and sanity that I forgot why I was sober. And I was like, oh, I can't fucking do this. Like, this is like ripping my soul out, because you're just watching so much. I'm like really selling comedy right now.
No,
But
but this is
you're
great.
really watching like a lot of unprocessed trauma on stage. That's like
Yeah.
a lot of what you're watching. And so, especially if you're going to like open mics, which are comics that are just testing out material and seeing what fits. And if there's no boundary or limits to what people can say on stage, you're getting people just straight up saying stuff like that. Like, and I just can't, especially now, like after the year and a half plus that, whatever, 2 years that we've been in this, like I can't hear that shit anymore. I will lose my fucking mind. I was already going on stage and I would forget my whole set to practice. I would just get up there and like rip every comic apart that like talk shit about women or trans people or whatever it was. Like I was just like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, and it was like, this is not healthy. And I'm not.
It's crazy because then it's like then you get like 10 people bombing in front of you and you're just like you might as well just join the pattern, and then when you leave it just lingers. It's like a bad fart that just stained your shirt, and it's just lingers around you and you feel that way for the rest of the day, and that's personally why I like improv audiences as opposed to a stand-up audience, if that makes any sense, where it's like people are more accepting to the whatever, or just and they're also smarter.
Yeah.
I said a joke the other day. I have a joke that goes, I'm dying of a disease. It kills thousands of men yearly. It's called narcissism. And people looked at me like they didn't even know what the word meant. And I believe they don't.
Because they have it.
Yeah. And it's just interesting. Robin?
That was a good joke.
Thank you. Book me for one of your shows. But
absolutely. Come back to LA. Are you going to?
I'm living that nomad life recently. I've just been traveling.
Good for you. That's the shit I want to do. I'm actually going to go to DC and New York in October. And I have a buddy that has like a bunch of, he's kind of like the DC comic, I would say. I don't know. So I'm going to hit him up and do some shows probably in DC and New York while I'm out there, just to be like, not, I don't know. I think before, it was like I was going to tour and I was going to do all this stuff. And now it's like, no, I just want to go and see what the DC comics are like and see what the New York comics are like. And
I've been thinking the same thing. I've been thinking the exact same thing. It's just like, and more so as a part of, hey, I can make money at the same time. I'm tattooing, so I can just tattoo and then do a show at night. And then if I need to do anything else in between, like say I like teaching online, improv, or whatever the case may be, I can do that on the computer and continue living that kind of lifestyle and just simply being present, being happy. Not trying to be lingering in those certain worlds, because then you get caught up in those patterns of comfortability.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you can get in any, like if I'm working too much for Laughter on Call and I'm in that corporate world, sometimes it's like that can be a lot too. So it is very, I have realized how much from going from like a 9 to 5 to freelance to like kind of done it all. I do love right now, I'm working 3 days a week with Laughter on Call. And then the other 2 days I'm actually coaching to be a boxing coach. I'm training to be a boxing coach. I'm coaching to be a boxing coach.
That's pretty dope though. But that's a whole nother, but it goes sort of back to your sports and the mindset that you were doing there.
Yeah. So I started, that was a whole nother thing. But I started boxing in 2015. And then when pandemic, like
outlet for your rebel like inside.
Why do you think I started? My ex was like, you have a lot of anger and you need to let it out. And so I started boxing.
And I can see that and not to, to continue on the sobriety, I can see that, okay, where do I have these outlets? What could I use with it? So it's like putting your outlets in anything productive, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And so I get a little bit of everything. Like I was worried to do the boxing thing because I was like, am I not going to love it anymore if I'm doing it for money? Because that's kind of how I started feeling about comedy with like Laughter on Call, because I was doing it all the time and all I was talking about was comedy and how a joke works and how you make people laugh. And I was just like, I'm falling out of love with this. And so now having a little bit more of a balance of, I do a little bit of this, I do my boxing, I do some acting, I do some makeup, like it all feels creative. It feels like what you're doing, which is like you get to do a little bit of everything that you love. And we don't have to have this like American mindset of like one thing and you strive and you like reach this like whatever. For me, it's like
What they try to do, they try to put us in a box.
Yeah.
And that I'm such an advocate for trying not to be like that. When people ask me what's your style, what you think, is like, no, I'm a liminal being. You can't put me in and constrain me into these parameters, but I'll do it specifically to contribute to society, if that makes sense. So it's like, okay, you need me to do stand up. I do stand up as an outlet, but would I rather do an improv set? Would I rather do my own show? Would I rather combine all of them into one show as opposed to listening to 30 comedians doing stand up for an hour? Like, I don't
want to subject my friends to that. That's the other fucking thing. Unless it's like a diverse show where it's got like BIPOC, queer, like it's got like a nice mishmash, or if it's like a female show or whatever it is, like I don't want to fucking do or sober show. I love doing sober shows. Those are so much.
What is this? Like, is it just like
just sober comics? And so usually I'll do them for like an audience that's like sober, or some people are, some people aren't. It doesn't really matter, but it's just like it's a bunch of sober comics.
I did a suicide show, so I mean, I'm just I got you. That was before the pandemic. It was just like everyone who has a suicide story or whatnot put it into there we go. Oh, well, I mean, people don't know what that means, but if now y'all do. But yeah, those different outlets are so productive, and I'm such an advocate for being a multi-hyphenate artist, a liminal being. And kudos to you and your journey, and that sounds amazing. Where can people find you at on social platforms?
So my social is my name, so it's at Jeneta St. Clair. No, there it is. Beep boop bop.
There we go.
Instagram, Twitter are really the main ones that I use, and then IMDb if you want to see my silly credits. But
I'm gonna go add you right now. Hold up. No. But that's great. What a great conversation. And I know we might have to bring you back up if you get another tattoo to see this journey. Is there any upcoming projects, anything that we can look forward to or you want to promote?
Not right now. Just
and that's okay.
Running around. Yeah.
That's okay. Kudos to your journey and I'm glad that we've been able to connect through comedy and now through tattoos. And thank you so much for joining me on Beyond the Pain.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. Well, guys, shout outs to Steve, the producer in the background, Oye Dimelo Network. Y'all can find us and on the platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram, Twitter. I could go all day. But thank y'all for this episode, and thank you, Jeneta, for joining me.
Thank you.
Peace.